Today's class will involve weight bearing through the hands, wrists, or forearms. So work through the shoulders, some core engagement, and then we'll stretch towards the end. So we're working through some side planks, moving up eventually to our feet with some half moon, twisted moon perhaps, and making our way back down. So you may want blocks, and just kind of keep that in mind, and I'll let everyone get situated as we get ready for class. Okay, so we'll begin in that seated position, whether it be on a chair or on your mat with an aligned spine, using the core to help increase the space between your rib cage and pelvis, drawing the shoulders down, softening the muscles of your face, and placing the hands anywhere, either at the lap or the knees, as you soften or close your eyes. And become first just the observer, noticing what currently is, what senses are drawing information in. And I'm not going to turn those senses off, but we're going to detach from that input and gradually focus more and more on our breath for a moment as we help to encourage our awareness to go a little deeper inside, allowing us to be present and turn this class into yoga. Start to cultivate the energy of joy, compassion, gratitude, something in that heart energy space that is uplifting, so that you're moving from that place to the class and through each pose. To experience it from that state of higher vibration. And if you'd like to set an intention for today's practice, you can go ahead and come up with that phrase or word now. And as you inhale, draw from the infinite source of that intention. And as you exhale, let it permeate every cell of your body. Let it take up the space in your mind and fill your heart. To seal that intention, you can bring the palms together at heart center, gently draw the chin in and down, lengthening the back of your neck. And then bringing the head back up to neutral, softly opening the eyes. And we'll stay right here, warming up those shoulders and wrists a little bit. So inhale as you are. Exhale, interlace the fingers, press the palms out, round the back, drop the head. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead, lining biceps with ears, or maybe even past. And exhale, take the hands behind you, interlace the fingers there. With straight elbows, lift the heart, lift the arms and the gaze. And then exhale, hands back into heart center. Adding on a twist and forward bend this round. We'll inhale here. Exhale, interlace the fingers and press the palms out. Inhale, arms reach up and back. We're going into a twist to the left. Exhale, bring the right hand to the outside of the left knee, the left hand behind you, and lengthen as you twist. We'll stay there for another round of breath. Then on your next inhale, reach the arms back overhead, come back to neutral, and we'll exhale, twisting to the opposite side, lengthening, opening the heart and twisting. Another breath there. Next inhale, arms go back overhead, and exhale, take them behind your back, interlace the fingers. Lift the heart, draw the shoulders down and back. Optional, folding forward, arms overhead. In either case, make sure you're still breathing. Next inhale, if you're folding forward, let the arms help you back up to that neutral spine. And then we'll all exhale, hands back into heart center. One more thing in the seated position, let's just take the right arm out in front, drop the fingers towards the floor. And then if you'd like to use the left hand to just assist a slight stretch, keeping your hand close to the wrist joint. And then just flip the palm towards the sky, fingers down towards the floor. Same thing if you want to use the left hand to assist. And release. We'll go to the other side. So left hand extended, fingers pointing down, and increase the stretch. Keeping all of your attention in that wrist, sending it healthy energy. And then release, palm to the sky, then fingers down, and maybe a little assist. Okay, and release. Okay, just a couple of circles each way. And we'll make our way into hands and knees. From hands and knees, we're actually going to do kind of a side to side instead of a cat-cow, warming up the side body a bit. So inhale is right here in neutral. And as you exhale, you're going to bring your left shoulder and hip closer to each other, and you can gaze back if you'd like. So if you were looking down, you'd see like a C curve. You can stay there for an extra breath. Next inhale, come back to neutral, and then we'll exhale, right shoulder and hip come a little closer to each other, and hold it there for a moment. So stretching the left body, engaging the right body. Inhale to neutral, and then just exhale one more time to the left. Inhale neutral, and exhale right. Inhale neutral. I'm going to come down to our forearms and do a forearm plank. So as you make your way into that position, make sure that shoulders are not past the elbows, they're stacked over the elbows. And you can walk the knees back and choose to stay on your knees if you'd like, as you kind of drop the hips, creating a diagonal from head to tailbone, or you can come up into a forearm plank by lifting the knees and powerful thighs. Stay here for a moment, just getting those shoulders warmed up. Check again your alignment. If you need to, wiggle the toes back a bit and press through the 10 fingertips. Take one more inhale here. And as you exhale, again, optional knees down. I'm going to take the right arm and bring it in towards the center a bit as you make your way into a forearm side plank. Again, knee can certainly be down. Try not to let the hips sink, they're up. Optional reaching left hand to the sky. And optional flexing that ankle and lifting the leg just parallel to your mat. Stay there for another couple of breaths. Awesome. Reaching inhale and exhale. Come back to your forearm plank. Before the other side, we'll come all the way down to the mat and bring the arms back by our side. Reach the fingertips towards the wall behind you and inhale, lift the chest, lift the chin, circle the wrists. And as you exhale, bring the forearms back underneath and into just a gentle cobra. So lifting the heart center up, gaze is slightly up, chest pulling forward, and fingertips, it's almost like you're trying to slide the mat back. Press into the tops of the feet. Great. And then relax out of it a bit. Again, we're going for the forearm plank, side plank on the other side. So you can simply keep the feet down and keep the knees down and lift your hips, or you can come into a full forearm plank. When you're ready for the other side, left arm rotates in just a little bit at the forearm, and then you'll start to just roll to the side of your left foot, or knee can be down, and right arm to the sky. So it can look like either one of these. If you just have your feet down, try to press into the outer blade of that bottom foot. Awesome. Option of lifting that top leg. Did I do that on the other side? I'm not sure. And then reaching over on your inhale. And exhale, coming back to your forearm plank. And release the hips down. We're in that cobra. Inhale, lift the chest and heart center up and forward. And as you exhale, bring the chin closer to the earth, hands behind you. Reaching the fingertips back. Optional interlacing fingers. As you inhale, lift the heart center again. Slight gaze up, keep a nice smooth curve in the neck. And you could add the legs, big toes touching. And then exhale, feet come down, forearms on the mat, tuck the toes under. I'm gonna lift the knees, or lift the hips up, I keep saying knees, walk the hands back, and move into puppy dog. So hips high, chest and chin toward the mat. Inhale, bring the chest away from the mat. Walk the hands underneath the shoulders. So we're now going to repeat the side plank from knee position, but you can always go back to forearms. So the first step is to get into a knee plank. So this is hands and knees, but we need to drop the hips forward and down, and maybe even walk the hands out slightly. So legs are still strong, even though the knees are down, and shoulders are away from the ears. Powerful core engaging. Choice of staying right here if you just want to work on core here. Otherwise, bring the right hand in just slightly and start to rotate to the outside of your bottom knee. I'm bringing my legs behind me slightly and then lifting the left arm up to the sky. Notice I don't want to have my shoulder out past the wrist. It's stacked over the wrist. Less stress on the shoulder. It's still a lot of work. Fingertips are engaging. Reaching that top arm to the sky. Optional to straighten that top leg and even lifting it up, ankle bent. Still breathing. With the foot back down, inhale, reaching over and across, lifting the side body, creating a nice arch and stretch to the left side. And then exhale, both knees down, come back to hands and knees for a moment. And before the other side, big toes together, we'll go into child's pose, arms by your side. If you want more intensity and heat, you can always just stay in that plank pose instead of this child's pose. Feel free to circle out the wrists. Ready for the other side, arms back in front, hands in knee position, and then drop the hips forward and down to your knee plank. For the other side, left hand comes in slightly, legs go slightly to the left, and then begin to rotate onto that bottom knee and leg, right arm to the sky. Your gaze could stay toward that back wall or up at the thumb. Top leg could straighten with ankle bent and could lift up. With the top foot down, reaching the right arm over, create a nice long arch and stretching through the right side of your body. And then back to the sky, hands and knees position, return to child's pose. This time, if you'd like to interlace the fingers and bring the arms overhead, and get a little more stretch through your shoulders. Release the hands down, maybe circle out the wrist. And we've got one more step to make it for our side plank. You can stay with either of the variations we've already done, or you can go into a full side plank. To do that, you'll walk the feet back and start in regular plank pose. From regular plank, take the right hand and bring it in slightly so it's under your chest, and start to rotate to the outer blade of your bottom right foot. Front foot can stay, or top foot can stay in front or stack. Hands can start at the hips, shoulder not past the wrist. Same options, arm can reach up, top leg could lift. You could even bend that knee, place the foot behind you, and just go into a little modified pose here. Wild thing. And then coming back to side plank and back to full plank. You can stay here or drop the knees down. Just preparing for the other side. And for that other side, left hand will come in underneath the chest. Start to roll to the outer blade of your left foot, allowing the right foot to be in front or stack on top. Make sure hips aren't dropping. Could reach the right hand to the sky. You could lift that top leg. And you could bend at the knee and then place the foot behind you flat and lift the hips up and forward into Wild Thing modified. And then coming back into that side plank and into regular plank. Release the knees down. This time take them wide, big toes touching, keeping the arms in front for extended child's pose, tucking the chin. Press through the fingertips. Come back into hands and knees, squaring the knees underneath the hips, wrists under shoulders. And we'll take a moment on each side, just bringing the back of the hand down to the mat, maybe shifting the hips back slightly for that left wrist stretch. And of course, I encourage you to do these again or more of these later today. And then right back of the hand down, maybe shift the hips back. And then bring that hand back flat. Tuck the toes under. We'll move into a modified downward facing dog. So knees lift up, shift the hips up and back as you relax the head. And lengthen the tailbone to the sky. And you can either pedal it out or stay in a static downward facing dog. Making sure you have space between shoulders and ears. From downward facing dog, take one more full breath and exhale everything out. As you inhale, look between the hands and walk the feet forward, coming into a modified halfway lift, and exhale into a full forward fold, length through the back of the neck, gravity pulling the crown of your head down, and you could circle out the wrists here, wiggle the toes. To come up to standing, drop the hips quite a bit. Open the arms out to the side, engage those core muscles, draw the belly in, and lead with your heart, coming all the way up to standing, reaching the fingertips high, and then exhaling, hands to heart center. Okay. Take an inhale, reach up to the sky. Exhale, bend the knees, fold forward. Inhale into your halfway lift. Exhale, hands meet the mat, stepping it back. And you can lower all the way down to the mat, or you can lower into Chaturanga Dandasana. You guys kind of know your modifications now, so you can inhale into Cobra, which we did at the beginning of the class, or you can come into Upward Dog. And then exhale, tuck the toes under, and move into Downward Facing Dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. From Downward Facing Dog, bring your right leg up high to the sky, bend the knee, and allow that foot to just drop over slightly to the left. If comfortable with it, you could even go into Wild Thing from here, dropping the foot all the way over and reaching the right hand up and back. And then sweeping the hand back, leg to the sky, and right foot back down. Remember, you could also be doing this on forearms. Inhale, left leg high, bend the knee, point the knee to the sky and stay right there. Or moving into wild thing, that foot will, I almost don't have room, that foot will come all the way to the floor. Stretching and arching straight bottom right knee. And then that foot will come back up to the sky and left foot comes down. You're in downward facing dog. As you inhale, walk the feet forward, come into your halfway lift. And exhale into your full forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, come safely all the way up to standing. And exhale, hands to heart. Awesome. We'll do one more full sun salutation, just to keep that heart rate up. Inhale, reach up to the sky, maybe a slight arch back. And exhale, safely fold forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift. Exhale, take the feet back, could have knees down, and lower to or toward the floor. Inhale, you can certainly keep the toes tucked under if you want to move into modified upward facing dog. And then exhale, use those core muscles to lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Take one more full breath here. Exhale everything out. On your inhale, look where you're going and bring both feet forward into your halfway lift. Exhale into a full forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, come safely all the way up to standing, Utthita Hastasana. And exhale, hands to heart center, Samastitihi. Take a moment in your Tadasana mountain pose and just breathe. And we're going to move and face the long edge of our mat. This is where blocks could come in handy as we're going to move through ultimately Utthita Trikonasana, so triangle pose, half moon, Ardha Chandrasana, and revolved half moon, Utthita Ardha Chandrasana, stopping anywhere along the way. So depending on how far and low you want to go, I'll just do a couple of examples. You can bring the blocks where you'll be able to reach them. To set up for Trikonasana, triangle pose, feet are wider than hips. And one little rule of thumb I've heard that may work for you is pointing the fingers down. That's about where your ankles should be. So you can kind of use that as a metric if you'd like, but then straighten back through the wrists. We're going to start with a right side, Utthita Trikonasana. So spin that right leg out, kneecap and toes pointing toward the short edge of your mat without twisting the whole body. So encourage the left hip to stay back. Knees will stay straight but not locked. As you exhale, reaching out through the right fingertips. And this is where you could have the block in front of your ankle. And the weight is not going to be on the block, but you can use it to maintain balance here, or even without a block. The key is the power and energy through that extended left arm to keep the weight off of your spine. And just make sure your head's not hanging. It should be in line with the rest of your spine. Some of you may have fingertips all the way down. Wherever you are, encourage that left hip to stay open, heart to stay facing open and forward toward the long edge of your mat, that side of the room. Powerfully continue reaching up to the left fingertips. Keeping some weight under the base of your right big toe. Awesome. We'll use that left arm on an inhale to pull us all the way back up to standing. And if you need to, place hands at the waist. Otherwise, just turn the palms down and we'll set up for the other side. So now the left foot turns out, kneecap turns out. Back foot, turn the toes in just slightly. The front heel should line up with the back arch, so adjust that if you need to. And encourage the hips, but don't force them towards that long edge of your mat, shoulders down. Your inhale is right here. Exhale, begin reaching out towards that left through the left fingertips, keeping that right hip open, and then hinge at the hip joints to find either your block or the floor or your shin without weight bearing through it. Powerful reach through the right arm. So keeping the head in neutral and gazing through the side is fine. Optional, tuck the chin before rotating to gaze at that outstretched right thumb. Deep, full breaths, both feet evenly planting. We're going to use that right hand now to inhale, pull us all the way back up to standing. And this time, exhale, hands to the waist. And we're going to just set up again for another time on that right side. We'll add in some options this time, but you stop anywhere along the way. So left foot angled in slightly, right toes and knees out. Encourage the torso without forcing it towards the long edge. Reach through the fingertips, powerful reach through the crown of the head. And as you exhale, reaching out, hinging from the hips, keeping some space between right rib cage and pelvis, gazing wherever is best for your neck and lengthening through every limb. Utthita Trikonasana, extended triangle pose. From here, optional, reaching that left arm over towards the wall, beyond your head. And for a powerful core work, you could bring the right arm up and also reach it towards that back wall. Please don't force this variation. If your right arm is up, bring it back down. Left hand to the sky. Final option is to rotate the palm towards the wall behind you and take the hand to your low back or even around to find and hook around the inner right thigh. Roll that left shoulder back and breathe. Left hand to the sky. Inhale, pull yourself all the way back up. And we'll set up for the other side, same thing. Start with shoulders stacked over hips and powerful straight legs. Check that your feet are in position and reach out through the fingertips on your inhale. Exhale, begin folding and moving into that space. So try to have equal space between ribs and pelvis on right and left. You can stay right here or reach the right arm closer to your right ear. You could bring the left arm up and reach out towards that back wall. Left arm comes down, right hand to the sky. Optional, rotate the palm back and place the back of your hand on your sacrum, your low back. Roll the right shoulder back, you could gaze up and maybe even hook around the inner left thigh. And make that right arm back up to the sky and allow it on an inhale to pull you all the way back up to standing. See? And then exhale, hands to the waist. And we'll just heel toe, back in for a moment into that. Okay, so we're going to set up for moving into half moon pose. So similarly, that block can be available for you. If you want to watch me first, I'm going to just kind of do a quick movement into it, but I'll walk you through it in just a moment. So we'll go into similar to triangle pose start, but we're going to bend the right knee and find perhaps the block. It can be in any position or the floor, but it'll be out past your toes. So you sometimes have to adjust it so that as you drag that back foot in and lift it, you've got the fingertips under the shoulder. Okay, so that being said, you can set up your block in any of these positions. There won't be a lot of weight on it, so don't rely on it to be your stability point, especially if you're using a book, okay? So just be careful with that. So if you haven't already, we'll take the legs apart, planting on the right side first, so spin the right leg out, back toes in, open the arms out to the side on your inhale. Exhale, bend into the right knee and start to reach out and beyond the big toe as that hand finds its way either to the mat or to your block. Sometimes it's nice to keep your left hand on the hip as you start to drag that foot in Typically, it's easier to start with your gaze at the earth, and you could just tip the fingers as you start to lift that back leg. The ankle will stay bent and not higher than parallel to the earth. And as you keep open that left hip, you could reach up to the sky. This is Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. So it's similar to what we did on the floor. So you could be doing this instead. Perfectly fine. You get a lot of the same benefits. So from half moon, take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, bring the left fingertips down, rotate your torso and the knee and the toes down towards the floor. Stay here and just powerfully reach through that back leg. You could also bring the foot down and just move in a forward fold. If you want to take it to the next step, reach those toes of the left foot up to the sky, walk the hands back into standing split. As you inhale, bend the right knee, bring the left knee behind the calf, and inhale, reach back up. Exhale one more time, bend the right knee, bring the left knee in, and reach back up in standing split. Take one more inhale there, and exhale, bring the foot down to parallel to the earth. And if you were in forward fold, go ahead and come back to this position, and you'll bend the right knee slightly so you can place the left toes on the mat. I'm going to walk the hands to the inside of the right foot and spin yourself around to face the long edge of the mat. Toes in more than heels, and release into a forward fold. So we're not super wide, but just giving our body a break in this series. Some of you may enjoy taking the arms overhead and releasing the fingers. If the arms are overhead, bring the hands back down underneath your shoulders. Lift the chest away from the floor. And to come up safely, squeeze those thighs. Place one hand at a time at the waist if your back is powerful enough to lift you up from there, or you can bring the heels in, come to a squat first, and come up. Okay, so we're all in standing. We're going to prepare for the same series on the left side. So we'll begin in foot position for extended triangle. Left toes out, right toes in. If you want to block nearby, you could bring that over. Reach out on your inhale. As you exhale, bend into the right knee. We're moving into Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. Keep reaching out and forward with the left fingertips, finding your block or the floor. And as you drag, I'm going to place my hand here again to encourage that hip back. Drag the back foot in, adjust the fingertips to stay under your shoulder. And when you're ready, you can start to lift. It's hard for me to look at the camera. I'm going to look at the floor for a minute. Lift that right leg parallel to the earth with the ankle bent. Roll that hip open, option of reaching the hand up to the sky and gazing. One more inhale there. Exhale, bring the right hand down. Start to rotate the torso, the right knee, and the toes toward the floor. Powerful, strong right leg. You can stay there, or you can release it to the earth for a deeper rest and forward fold. You could also lift the toes up to the sky, moving towards a standing split. And exhale, bend the left knee, bring the right knee behind the left calf. Inhale, reach it up again, straightening both knees. Exhale, bring it in. Inhale, reach it up. And exhale, bring it parallel to the earth. Everyone can be here now. As we bend into the left knee, softly bring the right toes down. Hands on the inside of the left foot as you rotate it around again. Into any forward fold you want to do right here. To come up to standing, press through the hands, strong core, strong legs. Squeeze the shoulder blades together and lead with your heart all the way up. Okay, got one more thing to add on here. Obviously, take a break or do this from the knees if you'd like. This time we're going to move through Ardha Chandrasana into standing splits, optional into Parivrtta Ardha Chandrasana, revolve triangle. Take your time. So arms out to the side, my feet are in position for Utthita Trikonasana. As you exhale, bend into the right knee, reach out, find placement, and walk the fingers out until they land under shoulder. And you can start to lift the left leg and straighten the right knee. Start to open the side body, optional reaching hand to the sky and the left. Okay, so that's stage one, and you can certainly stay right there and come out of it when you need to. To move towards Parivrtta Ardha Chandrasana, left fingertips come down. Take your time rotating the hips towards the earth, the torso towards the earth, your gaze is towards the earth. Fingertips under shoulders, left toes pointing. It again stays parallel to the earth. Optional, reaching the right hand. So now we're rotating our torso towards the sky. You could always touch that back toe down. And when you're ready, lift it back up. And the gaze can follow up towards that outstretched thumb. Take one more inhale here. Exhale, right fingertips down. And this time we're all just going to go into a forward fold, softening the body a bit. And then dropping the hips, open the arms, and safely come up to standing, stretching the arms up and over. Exhale, hands to heart. And let my dog out. Sorry. Getting the heart rate up today a little bit. Yeah, it's a pretty demanding class, but good to get us ready for the week, strengthening ahead. So we're going to set up for the left side. Feet are in Trikonasana position. Blocks if you want them nearby. You could also use a wall or come to your knees. Encourage the hips towards the long edge of the mat, as well as the rib cage and shoulders. Inhale, reach out. Exhale, bend into the right knee. Start to find its way forward and down to the earth until shoulder is lined up over the wrist, and you can start to lift the right leg and straighten the left knee. So kneecap and toes are facing out towards the camera for me. Optional reaching the right hand up to the sky. Good. Trying to look at you guys, but okay, awesome. You can stay right here with your Ardha Chandrasana, or exhale, bring the fingertips down, rotate your torso, right kneecap, and top of the foot towards the earth. Stay here or move into Parivrtta Ardha Chandrasana. Right fingertips stay planted, and you start to lift the left hand up to the sky, rotating your chest to the left, and maybe your gaze. Still breathing, reaching powerfully back through that right foot. For one more inhale and exhale, hands come down, foot comes down, forward fold. Open the arms, drop the hips, come all the way to standing. Exhale, hands to heart. Release your hands down by your side into Tadasana and take a couple of breaths. Okay, I'm going to turn and face the long edge of the mat, and we'll make our way down towards the earth, but we'll do one more pose. This is great for shoulder opening. Eagle pose, Garudasana. You could simply do the arms if your legs need a break by taking your arms out to the side and bringing the right arm underneath the left. And maybe you just place the left hand on the shoulder and kind of stretch it here. But if available, you'll interlace the forearms and the palms are touching. Okay. If you want to add the leg component, usually I do legs and at the same time, but kind of nice to start here and focus on the shoulders. In fact, while we're here, having that left elbow on top, I sometimes like to move the arms over to the right a little bit to get a little bit more of a stretch on the left shoulder blade area. All right. If you want to add the leg component, then start to shift your weight into the right foot, bending the left knee. And you can either just kickstand that foot over to the outside or bend that right knee deeply so the left thigh crosses all the way over and the foot hooks behind. I do find this more difficult doing the arms first, but here we are. And then really squeeze at every joint to make that lock super tight and breathe. Oopsie. If you come out of it like me, just bring your toes down and then get back into it. All right, my legs are ready to come out of it. You can stay there a couple more breaths or slowly transition out. And take a moment in Tadasana. Okay, so we'll do the other side. Let's do the arms first again. Arms out to the side. This time we'll have right arm underneath, right arm on top of the left. And it might look like this. That's perfectly fine. But try to bring the elbows up so they're in line with your shoulders. All right. Take a moment here, stretching, filling it through the shoulder blades. And you can stay with that or move into the leg portion by shifting your energy and weight into the left foot this time. Right knee softens, heel is up. And you can just kickstand it over or bend a little deeper. I'll kind of do it from the side this time. And cross the right thigh over the left and try to hook it behind. Eagle pose, Garudasana. To come out of it, uncross the right foot, release the arms up and over, and exhale, hands to heart. Okay, we're gonna make our way down to the mat through a half vinyasa, reaching up on your inhale, and exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift, and we're just gonna exhale, bend the knees, step it back, and go directly into your downward facing dog. Okay, bring your knees to the mat. We did this last Wednesday. We're gonna take your right leg, bring it to the outside of your left calf, untuck the toes, and take the feet about as wide as your mat, and start to walk the hips back. You could just do this in a simple seated position. My focus and my intention is more for getting into your shoulders today. So if you don't want to include the hips in this, then please feel free to just sit regular or even at least have that bottom leg straight. Okay, next step, we've got our left leg on top. We're gonna take our right arm on top and bend at the elbow, take the left hand behind and try to make that connection. You can use a strap, of course, and try to bring your head back so the elbow's not bringing your body and neck into a forward bend. I'm gonna have the head in neutral. Great stretch for the shoulders, the tricep on the right side. By the way, balance poses that we were just working on one of the few things that uses both sides of your brain at the same time. So it's really great for creating focus, overall balance, mentally, physically, emotionally. And so they can be challenging when other things in your life are out of balance or out of focus. But even modified tree pose is excellent for helping you develop focus and balance. All right, last few breaths. If you want to, you could fold forward. And then come back up to your neutral position. Release the hands to your knees and just take a moment. We're going to go to the other side, so I've got to rotate around. And bring the hands forward. Take the knees back to that hands and knees position. To move to the other side, this time left leg will cross over, feet are wide, walk the hands back, sitting down between the feet. You obviously don't have to turn like me. All right, so this time we'll have the right hand from below. I have to use my left hand to help. So I tend to start a little differently on the side, but the idea is the same. Try to make a connection back there with strap or fingers. Lengthen the torso, back of the head pressing into that elbow crease. And breathing into any places that feel tight or stuck. Just visualize that energy turning into powerful stuff you can use to propel you through the day and the week. You can stay right here or optional folding forward. And then bring yourself back up. And release the hands to that top knee for a moment. Close your eyes and just notice. And then open the eyes. We'll be making our way down onto our back for a twist and last couple of things there. So if you need any Shavasana props, you can bring them nearby. And slowly make your way down onto your back. Once there, reach through the fingertips and reach through the toes. As you exhale, bring the knees into your chest and the forehead to your knees. Release the back of the head back to the earth and the arms out to the side. Any spinal twist you enjoy. So maybe you want to make those eagle leg, Garudasana legs again, and that would be crossing the right over the left to start with. You don't have to necessarily cross the ankles, but you can. Feet come back to the mat. Knees go to the left, gaze to the right. You can circle out the wrist a little bit more, stretch out the fingers, or just peacefully rest in your twist. Bring your gaze and your knees back to center, readjust and align the spine. And if you want to cross the left over the right, maybe cross the ankle behind. Any twist you want to do where your knees are now going to the right and your gaze is to the left, spreading out the shoulder blades and pressing especially that left shoulder blade down towards your mat. Bring your gaze back up towards the sky, knees back up, uncross the feet, realign your spine, and one more time, knees to chest. Optional, taking feet to the sky, Hands on the inside to hold the soles of your feet. As you go into happy baby, pressing the knees down toward the earth on each side of your body, while lengthening the sacrum, the tailbone down towards the ground. Rock side to side if you'd like. Just turn into your own happy baby. Bring the knees together and move into Shavasana. Extending the legs, the knees supported if needed. Lengthening the spine, enjoying some space under the low back and the neck. And reaching the arms out, away from the body slightly with the palms skyward. Finding a nice neutral position for your head, the feet, the fingers, and the muscles of your face relax. Allow your breath to slow down and find its own natural rhythm. As we move towards stillness, you can reconnect with that intention you set. Focus on music or breath. I'll bring us out together shortly, or you can mute me and come out on your own. Imagine warm sand supporting every curve of your body. As you melt into this state of rest and relaxation. If your mind has drifted off with one of your clouds of thoughts, let the cloud drift by as you bring your awareness back to your point of focus. If you're ready to start moving out of your Shavasana, powerfully feel your breath as it lifts your abdomen towards the sky on your inhalation, followed by your chest. And exhale, feel the front body sink down towards the earth. Continue breathing deeply as you reach the fingers out beyond your head. Bring the feet together, stretching through fingers and toes. And exhale, bend the elbows, come into cactus arms and walk the feet in, bending the knees. Maybe hug the knees into your chest one more time with forehead to knees. And then exhale, head to the mat and roll over onto one side and pause, resting your ear on your arm that's on the floor. Use that top hand and arm to help press you back up to a seated position, finding your aligned spine, eyes still closed. Once again, returning to that place of joy or your intention. And on your next inhalation, imagine you drawing the energy of that all the way up the spine along with your breath to the top of your head and beyond. And as you exhale, you feel that energy from the universe flow back down through the head and down the spine, the very tip of your tailbone and beyond. If you'd like to, bring hands to heart center. And remember to let your dreams be louder than your doubts. You can open your eyes.